2011 Washougal City Council meeting, and ask that you please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Forsberg, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Coaston.
Here.
Councilmember Russell.
Present.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Here.
Councilmember Delavar. Councilmember Greenlee. Councilmember Morris. And Councilmember Shoemaker.
Here. Thank you. I know Councilman Greenlee had let us know previously he was going to be out of town. Councilman Delavar is working this evening, and Councilman Morris got in touch with me to let me know that he is horribly sick. And I would ask that all three of those council members be excused from this evening's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This evening is one of our first items of business. We have what I think is a phenomenal recognition to make. It's unfortunate this evening that so many of the council are gone, but we're going to move ahead with it anyway. Chief Mitchell, if you would join me up in the front of the chambers. Officer Powers, if you would join us as well. And do I understand that Mr. Walker might be in the audience this evening? It's okay. Hopefully for most of the folks in the room and the audience, a lot of this is going to sound familiar because it appropriately made a lot of news. On October 12th, 2010, Washougal Reserve Officer James Powers was working containment along with several other Washougal police officers during a narcotic search warrant at an apartment complex located in the 500 block of C Street. A young child approached Officer Powers in the parking lot of that apartment complex and told him that his father was choking and could not breathe. Officer Powers contacted another Washougal officer to take over his containment position and follow the child to their apartment. When Officer Powers entered the apartment, he found a barely conscious adult male on the floor. He wasn't breathing, and his face had turned purple. Officer Powers reacted quickly and administered 7 to 8 abdominal thrusts, a Heimlich maneuver, to the male, which dislodged the obstruction and allowed him to breathe on his own. Medical personnel arrived on the scene a short time later. However, no further medical attention was required. This evening, I've asked Officer Powers to be here so that we can appropriately recognize his actions in saving a fellow human being's life. And Chief Mitchell, I believe you have arranged for a life-saving Medal of Valor.
We do. So,
Very cool.
I have to see the representation for this gun and this catalog for the EV, and also my saving badge running.
Right now. You prepared. Did you bring Band-Aids? On behalf of the entire city, certainly I'm sure on behalf of the Walker family, we want to make sure that we have appropriately recognized James this evening. We have so many employees within the city, including our reserve officers and volunteer firemen that have done an outstanding job and continue to do that. And this is one of those extraordinary cases, and I'm pleased to be here this evening and have you here. Thank you again.
I don't know how many people know that James is a paramedic as well, so it couldn't have been a better scenario that night in that he happened to be working there came to him, and he when he does, did his real job in the motion of finance.
Everybody, there's two lights.
Actually, let me do one more of it while you were putting it up.
All right, can't back up. Please, thank you. Thank you to the other officers for being here this evening as well. Okay, do we have any amendments to the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we'll go to that portion of the agenda.
Mayor,
Yes.
I didn't see on the agenda that we have a second public comment time added in, and we haven't made that change yet to the agenda. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's what we're just waiting for is to, so I'd like to, if we could, the only thing that really needs to be changed from what we talked about at workshop was dropping the, having a second public comment period before the mayor's report and the council comments at the end of the meeting. So that's my motion, is to make that the last three agenda items in that order.
Is that for tonight's meeting?
Yeah, starting tonight and
Let's-
from here on out.
How about if we do this? How about tonight if we go through the agenda the way it is, and we'll just add another one in after the public hearings and ask staff to try and bring that back
Okay.
at the next workshop?
Yeah, I was going to ask, when we're going to get that, and then also we had talked about moving the meetings to 6 o'clock. When is that going to take place? Is that waiting on a motion from us as well, or?
No, our anticipation was to bring that forward to you and make it effective most likely on the March 1st meeting.
Okay.
Or the first meeting in March, so that we've got time to get it out to the public as much
Okay.
as we can in advance
So the motion is just to add a second public comment time
after the public hearings.
after public hearings.
Okay, we got a motion?
Second?
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now for the first portion of public comments. Anyone from the public that wishes to address the council? Yes. If you could just give us name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Mindy Condon, 1496 51st Street. And I'm here, I want to tell you guys, and I'm disappointed that some people are not here today, because I want to tell you how angry I am about the project on East Street. When I heard that all the stuff that was going on, all the construction and the delays were all because we were going to be getting rid of our already two overcrowded lanes on each side and moving to a single lane and a center lane plus bike lanes, I was flabbergasted. I thought, why on earth would we be doing this? It is already so crowded and so hard to get through. I understand the need for sidewalks and safety, and I'm all for that. But bike lanes, I think at a time when we're trying to make our community as friendly to newcomers, we're wanting people to come here and be part of our community, we need to make it so that they can get through. As it stands, the way things are going to go, people are going to just get on Highway 14. That's what I'm doing every single time now. I don't ever go through town because I don't want to get stuck in that traffic. And the idea of bike lanes, I can't even believe that. I don't think that we have a whole bunch of closeted bike commuters who are just dying to start riding their bikes to work. I think the reason why people don't ride their bikes to work is because it would take them 3 hours to bike to Portland. And because we have freezing rain, and they would have to ride all the way back up the hill to wherever they came from to get going. And the only people, if you look around as you're driving, because you're probably not on bikes, I'm guessing. I'm not. I have 4 kids. I can't ride my bike everywhere. The only people, not to be saying absolutely the only people, 99% of the people that you see riding around are the people who, they're not wearing helmets, they're not bike commuting, they look like they're biking because they may not own a vehicle. The people who own vehicles are going to be inconvenienced incredibly. I know this is late in the game, but I ask if there's any way possible, and I read somewhere that if things don't work out with this whole bike lane, that we could restripe the road later. Let's do that now. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I gotta tell you, Out of everybody I've talked to about this, I have not heard one positive comment. I've heard one neutral comment, but everybody else, and these are all people who live in town, everybody else has said, are you serious? Bike lanes? Why are we having bike lanes? We aren't bike commuters here. We choose to live in Washougal because we love it, but we don't choose to live here hoping that someday we're going to be able to ride our bikes to Portland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
It
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
is unfortunate that, Mrs. Condon, that these things come up now when the project's been in the works and in the planning for 3 years with all those same pieces in there. To answer one of your questions, though, the requirement of bike lanes was for all of the state, federal, and regional money in order to do the project, so
Then this isn't the time.
it's, unfortunately, there's not a way at this point to turn the clock back. We don't have the money to pay everybody back for what's being spent out there today, so. But I thank you for your comments and for being here this evening.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd just like to add as well, Councilman Shoemaker had brought up the idea of setting aside money each year, because we're locked into this, I think, was it for 4 years?
5 years.
5 years into the bike lane pattern. Once the 5 years is up, if we've decided as a city that this isn't the direction we want to go, if we have money saved up at that point, we can turn around and restripe it back to the 4-lane. So that is a possibility.
And I'd certainly encourage you not to necessarily use Highway 14. I go down East Street both directions every single day repeatedly. And I got to tell you, other than a minute or two at Washougal River Road for the re-signaling the way it's set now for the construction, you flow through there pretty darn quick.
That hasn't been my experience at all.
Understood. Thank you. Other members of the public that would like to speak? Yes, Mr. Neal.
Good afternoon, I'm Larry Neal from Miss Jamie's Daycare Center. And the reason I'm here this evening, approximately 8 years ago, opened up a business here in Washougal, my wife and I. We spent 5 months getting our facilities ready and able to pass an inspection to open up a daycare with a lot of pride behind it, taking care of the little kids of the town. And the East Street construction, we knew it was going to be a problem because part of the problem was they were coming to take part of the front parking lot of Miss Jamie's Daycare. Well, now that the cement's poured and the flower gardens are there, one of the requirements for us to open a daycare center there was, and it was required by the city of Washougal, was to put in additional egress and exits. In other words, we put in another curb so cars could come in and out of our parking lot safely with the kids. Well, we've lost that curb. We have one entrance into the daycare itself. It's not a very safe situation. I try to spend most every day down there to make sure that we don't have kids getting run over. And also the buses, school buses used to be able to pull into the daycare center. We no longer can do that. I've tried going through the neighbors and talking to local council people up here to resolve the problem, and the problem's just got pushed off and pushed off. I thought I was going to be able to acquire the neighbor's yard to have the additional parking. That fell through, and so now I'm standing in front of you, and it's what I've gone through, and I looked at Susan Stauffer's property, which is about 4 blocks down the road. It seemed like it would be an appropriate place for a daycare center. Also, it would take care of the problem of getting school buses in and out, people dropping off their kids. I paid for the first short plot meeting, or whatever you call the meeting down here, to have a study done on whether it was a feasible place to put a daycare center. And it went through, and I got a couple of good inputs back from the city hall in regard to relocating. The only bad input that I got from City Hall was the calculator stopped running at about $75,000 for an impact fee. Well, I'm not making a change on impact. I'm taking the same customers that I've had for 8 years now, and I'd like to just move a few blocks down the road where it's safer for me to put up another daycare center. I'm going to try. I've got 10 employees. I'm going to try to hang on to my employees because they go out the door, they don't stand a chance to get a job. I mean, things are tight out there. I'm trying to hold things together. I've got 65 families that this impacts. I got 33 kids in the door at one time. So out of the 65 people that are being impacted. I'd like to hang on to as many as I can. And what I'm asking the city hall and the mayor is, I don't think I should be charged an impact fee for something that was created by City Hall. The E Street project is gonna go on no matter what anybody says, but I think that my business should be able to move down the road because the impact of the parking lot area and moved on down the road without an impact fee. So I'm asking the city council to waive impact fees for Miss Jamie's Daycare Center to reopen up the business. I'll buy Miss Susan Stauffer's property and get a daycare put up and get it going as quick as I can. But I just can't afford paying $75,000 or $80,000 to have somebody sit out there and study the same number of cars that have been coming to my facility for 8 years. Yes, the people have changed, but it's still, I have 35 a day customers dropping off kids. So to me, the impact fee is, it's like going to the moon. I know we can't go to the moon anymore because we can't get a permit to do it. But the buck stops here. You guys can just say, yeah, make it happen, and it'll happen. I think I don't think I'm asking anything unfair. I'm trying to protect my customers. I'm trying to protect my workers. And I'm trying to provide a good service to this town. All the daycare centers that we've had in this town, there's never been one that has started here as a daycare center. I'd like to be the first one to make a good home for our kids. If you guys came down and saw some of the kids I take care of, it'd bring tears to your eyes. I do the best job I can. I have a gifted wife. We're #1 recommended in the state. You go down and ask the people down here that run the daycares by the state. I know the bosses all the way from the top, from the governor on down. We try to make a better daycare system for our kids. They need it. I mean, maybe your kids are well balanced and well taken care of at home, but we got a lot of kids that come into our facility. We are home, okay? We're very fortunate of what we do. We're very proud of what we do. We have a lot of judges in the area. When we have a problem child in this town or Camas or Vancouver, the judges don't hesitate 1 minute to say that child needs to be taken care of at Miss Jamie's Daycare. We've had them in there, we've had twins in there that had their mothers break their legs, break their arms. We took care of them. We've had kids in there that were starved, locked inside vans for a week at a time. We take care of those kids. We take care of those kids and try to get them back on their feet before they go into the public schools. We're probably parents to half the kids that do come to the daycare center. So I'm proud of what I do. My wife is proud of what she does. She works 8, 10, 12 hours a day, goes to school full-time down here at the University of Washington. I work 14, 16 hours a day, and I'm proud of what I do. I'm retired military. I enjoy life, but I think this is one thing that you folks can solve this problem by
Thank
giving
you.
us a pass.
Thank you, Larry. Joanne, can you put this on the workshop agenda for next week to give us an update on where it is? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. Anyone else from the public that would like to address the council? Yes, Barb?
This is just a side comment. If anybody else find it, Barbara Curry, 303 Love Street, Apartment 4, Washington. Anybody find it refreshing to have children's voices in the pledge tonight? I did.
Yep. Good point. Thank you. Other members of the public? Yes.
Sheena Francis.
If you could come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Sheena Francis, 3037 Evergreen Way. I know we're going to be talking about it later on, so I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to discuss it. But I'm here in regards to the sign planning. I was trying to gather some information on the website today. But to my understanding, we currently have an $80 a month fee to put up any banners on our businesses. That's what I was told at.
No. If you do want to hold your comments, though, it is a public hearing on that item, so you will certainly have a chance after the staff discussion
Perfect.
and all that stuff to hear a little more information, and
Perfect.
then we'll let you have at it.
All right, perfect.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Okay, seeing none. Consent agenda. The consent agenda this evening consists of the revised City Council minutes of January 10, 2011, the revised Special Council meeting minutes of January 10, Council minutes of January 18, 2011, planning session minutes of January 22nd, 2011, workshop minutes of January 31, 2011. Obviously, we were meeting way too much. We have the regular accounts payable claims in the amounts of $971,711.11. Agenda Bill 1411, a professional services agreement with CREDC for economic development promotion. Agenda Bill 1511, an agreement with Sonatrol for the Washougal Fire Department. Agenda Bill 1611, a professional services agreement with Wallace Engineering on the sanitary sewer point repair project. And Agenda Bill 1711, a surplus resolution for a backhoe loader. What would council's pleasure with the consent agenda be?
Mr. Mayor, would you pull number 7, Agenda Bill 14-11 for comment, please?
Absolutely.
Minus number 7, I ask unanimous consent on the agenda.
Seeing no objection, your consent agenda with the with the exception of number 7 is adopted. Councilman Shoemaker, Agenda Bill 1411, the PSA with CREDC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In reviewing the contract and the work plan for this item, these two documents propose a flurry of activities with no indication that the effort will be managed by outcomes. Therefore, I don't expect much in the way of results from all this activity. If that's the case, by the end of the year, I will withdraw my support from this particular project, and I certainly won't vote to renew it next year. I do so this year on the grounds that I think that it will provide a lot of good information, but the way it's being managed brings concerns to me. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Shoemaker, I think what you'll see with CREDC as well as the future Economic Development Council, I think you're going to see the CREDC really function more as an assistant to our organization. And the relationship that's going to be built between the two organizations, I think they'll play off each other very good, and it'll be a good team effort. And I think at the end of the year, just my prediction, once the ball's rolling and everything's moving properly, I think what you'll see is you'll see the necessity and the need for this organization to really be an assist for our organization that we're starting here locally.
And as long as we manage it by outcomes, I'll support it. Absolutely. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's an integral piece of the economic development effort that we're making. I just want to make sure it's run properly.
You bet. One of the main concerns that we also have is, I think there are a number of us who are of the same mind that we had always hoped that we would see some more ongoing localized efforts by CREDC, and that's one of the reasons that we've chosen to partner with Camas and the Port in doing our own more locally managed and hopefully more successful program. But at the same time, CREDC is certainly the only conduit for any of those federal and state dollars that can come through for economic development. We can't get them without CREDC. So having that financial assistance in there hopefully will be more than worth the dollars that we have going into them. Holly?
Yeah, I would just like to say for the people sitting out there, you may not know what CREDC stands for. It's the Columbia River Economic Development Council. It's been around for a long time. It is a collaborative council of almost all of Clark County, and we have not partnered with CREDC in the past, so this will be the first time we've done that. We feel like it will bring us a lot of positive benefits, and I can understand Councilman Shoemaker's concerns about that with no outcomes. Frankly, we're joining that organization at a time when it is very difficult to find businesses to come into any region, you know, specifically our region and our community. But I do think that they will bring a lot of value, certainly worth what we're putting into it, especially in conjunction with our local East County economic development.
Other council members?
Would it be appropriate at this point to move for adoption?
Absolutely. Yeah, the recommended action from staff is to authorize the mayor to sign the PSA.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the PSA with CREDC. Any additional council comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the mayor's report, and this evening I do not have anything for you. Mrs. Forsberg, do we have any correspondence?
No.
Council comments? Any council members? Molly?
Yes, I was pleased to see, you may know when you walk out the door, that you will see a plaque that's kind of leaning up against the wall there. That is a plaque commemorating William Broughton in 1792. This is a wonderful thing. It was brought to us at the Parks Board meeting, and I'm the liaison to the Parks Commission, the Parks Board. And this is, has been historically owned, or was owned by the state of Oregon, and it used to be displayed at the Vista House across the river. And when they did some reconstruction in the past few years, they determined that that was not the best location for that plaque, because it talks about, and I do have a lot of verbiage here, the naming of Mount Hood and the visibility of Mount Hood from the location that the ship in 1792 had docked at. And so the state of Oregon, there were a few people there who kind of looked around the area and said, what community would fit the description of the 1792 Broughton expedition? And they picked Washougal because certainly we can see Mount Hood from Point Vancouver, which is, some people say, just up at, just up the road just a mile or so. Reed Island, they talk about Reed Island, they talk about Point Vancouver. So we hope that that will be graphically displayed. I mean, that we will have a ceremony commemorating that. And I can see Barbara's pretty excited about it because Barbara's a member of our Parks Board. But if you have any questions about that, we're all pretty excited about that. I think it's a great opportunity for us here in Washougal to enrich our heritage by having that plaque.
Thank you, Molly. Other council members?
I
John?
think if my memory serves me, that one of the reasons they chose Washougal is because when he got to Washougal, he thought that this was the mouth of the Columbia, that this was where the Columbia dumped into the ocean. And so, because once he got here, he got to a point where he couldn't see Mount Hood anymore. So that's why he said, oh, well, this must be the beginning of the river. So anyway, just some interesting history. It is great to have that here now.
Yeah, very interesting. That's it.
Other council members? Jennifer?
I actually have a couple comments, and this is actually directed to Mr. Neal regarding the daycare and impact fees. I am curious to know if other cities charge impact fees for businesses to relocate. That's something that I'm just curious about. I know we're going to have it on an upcoming workshop, but I would be very curious to know what other cities do in those situations if they charge the businesses impact fees once again. It's common. No, they don't. Oh, how, okay, thank you for clearing that up. We'll do some
Joanne?
research and we can talk about it.
Joanne,
Or we can
do you-
talk about it now.
Do you want to respond on that one? I want to make sure that we've got correct information out there, so.
I'll check many other jurisdictions, but all the jurisdictions I know of, they do charge.
Oh, they do? Okay, all right. And I was curious, Mr. Neal, if you do indeed relocate, what is your plan for your existing lot? And I don't know, I'm not familiar with the Stauffer property, so I would be curious to know where that's located.
Well, when we first got licensed, the state controls daycare. At the time that we were licensed, the only thing that the city had to do with the daycare was entrance and exit, making sure that the fences were correct. and the plumbing and electrical and so forth. The state itself does all the actual inspections. At the time that we were licensed, we were required to put in the second exit so the cars could safely get in and get out. I don't know whether they charge, if the city causes somebody else to relocate their business, would they charge somebody impact fees when the city's the
You
one
don't
that's
know. Yeah.
taking the parking? I mean, it's out of my control. And
Well,
just common sense would
right.
say that, hey, try to take care of the business, try to take care of the employee, try to take care of the kid. So where are we gonna go wrong by waiving impact fees for something that occurred because the city decided to put a sidewalk or a planter box in where my driveway was? So I'm touching, it's unusual, but I don't think what I'm asking is unusual. I think it's just plain common sense. So with your business, what would you do?
Mr. Neal, one thing to remember that as we move along on in this progress, one of the things that we have to do and be very mindful of as council members is that when we pass legislation, that we do it in a manner that benefits everyone and not just one particular business. We can't do something for one business and then not offer it to everyone else. So that's a law, actually. So we have to be able to craft legislation that if we're going to move this route, we're going to have to craft legislation that will allow others to do the same. So know that in this process, if this is a direction council decides to go, that it's going to have to be a little broader than just allowing you to do it. It's going to have to take in everyone else.
To me, it's called
Jennifer,
good
it's-
common business sense.
Larry, I don't want to turn council comments and public comments into a workshop, so Jennifer, did you have some other items?
Nope, that was it. Thanks.
Any other council members? Okay. Takes us into the regular agenda. We have two public hearings this evening. The first one, Agenda Bill 18-11, Annexation Procedures. Mrs. Boyce.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, this evening, this is Agenda Bill's request that you hold a public hearing to take public testimony. It's regarding amendments that I proposed to the annexation procedures section of the code, which was adopted in 1975. Since that time, we've made many additional adjustments and other documents within the city regarding our annexation policies. Therefore, most of the items in this are outdated. Therefore, I'm asking you to hold a public hearing, to take public testimony, and if you desire, to read the ordinance by title only, and then to pass, post, and publish the ordinance in the usual manner.
Thank you. With that, I will open the public hearing. Ask for any members of the public that wish to speak this evening on the issue of our new annexation procedures and amendments to the Washougal Municipal Code, Chapter 1.20. Second call for any members of the public that would like to speak. And seeing none, third and final call. Okay, seeing no public comments, I will close the public hearing and ask council for their wishes in regards to Agenda Bill 1811.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to, by unanimous consent, to read the ordinance by title only.
Seeing no objection, so ordered.
An ordinance amending Washougal Municipal Code, Chapter 1.20 to update the city's annexation procedures.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to pass, post, and publish the ordinance in the usual manner.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to pass, post, and publish the ordinance in the usual manner. Any other council discussion?
Just a statement that I appreciate the Community Development Group going through this code change. It simplifies it a great deal. So we're moving from a half a page of text to just 3 lines of text, and it's very straightforward, so I appreciate that clarity.
Other council? Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our second public hearing this evening is Agenda Bill 1911, a reduction of the temporary sign review planning application fee. Mrs. Boyce.
Yes, this is also a request to hold a public hearing. Our department would like to amend the municipal code related to temporary sign reviews. Currently, there's a charge of $80 for planning to review your sign. It certainly doesn't take much staff time to review for a temporary sign, so it's much different, and we'd like to have a reduced fee for temporary signs, and it would be $25 a year. My request is that you hold the public hearing to take public testimony, and if you desire, make a motion to read the ordinance by title only and pass, post, and publish that ordinance in the usual manner.
Thank you. With that, I will open the public hearing and ask any members of the public who wish to speak in regards to our reduction of the temporary sign review planning application fee. Mrs. Frenzo.
I would greatly suggest that you do consider reducing the fee as a local business in the area. I have the Edward Jones office on Evergreen Way, and understanding that the fee was, we had thought that the fee was $80 a month, so you can see why we were a little surprised by the cost there. But definitely the $25 annual, I think that's much more fair. Because we are trying to bring in new businesses to the areas, and if we're overcharging with fees to put up a banner on your building or fee to put up a banner in your window, then definitely those need to be considered.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak on the issue? Okay, I'll make a third and final call for anyone wishing to speak on the reduced temporary sign review planning application fee. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for council's consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I make a request for unanimous consent to read the ordinance by title only.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
An ordinance amending Washougal Municipal Code, Chapter 3.90, to provide a reduced application fee for temporary sign reviews.
I move to pass, post, and publish the ordinance in the usual manner.
Second?
We've got a motion and a second to pass, post, and publish the ordinance in the usual manner. Any council discussion? Molly?
Just a comment that the issue of sign code has gone before the Planning Commission a number of times, and it's come before us as councilors and city workshops. Who knew that sign code would be as controversial as it is? But, you know, frankly, it is, and I can understand that. So this is one piece of it, but we hope that in the end that it will be fair to both to business owners and fair to the citizens of Washougal. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. David?
Just one thank you to the staff. I think the cost of signs is headed in the right direction. Keep it up.
Thank
No,
you.
keep it down.
Keep it down.
Yeah, if we can get the heck out of the way of our businesses and let them get on with doing what they do, it's a wonderful thing. Other comments from council members? Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the council's portion of the business this evening, and I will open the floor back up for any other comments from the public. Anyone who would like to address the council before adjournment? Yes, Tom. Mr. Anderson.
Tom Anderson, 740 East Street. And basically, I just want to say thank you for reinstating the second public comment. I really appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you for the comment. Any other members of the public? Okay. Council, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I think you set a record there, Mr. Mayor.
That's it.
No.
I don't think 40 minutes is it.
Not even close. No.
Is this the record for the shortest?
No.
Oh, no,
Nope.
no.
No.
We've had shorter.
Sean did it in 10, I think, one time.
I don't know about 10, but
Or 20. I think he did
We
20.
did have an 18-minute one, I think.
We did. I had the record, and then Sean